Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Hard, Lisa.
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close.
The hair high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham Scott alongside, as always. Hello, Scott.
Sean, you made it.
I made it. I did it. I somehow did it. Yes, I am not in the nation's capital, as I normally am. I am currently in Queens, New York, Scott.
I thought you were podcasting from an undisclosed location, but yeah, Queens, there you go.
An undisclosed location in Queens, yeah. So I am off down here in the United States for the weekend, but Scott, that doesn't mean we can't talk a little Canadian women's national champion curling action.
Yeah, Sean. So, today, final day of the championship pool, we had the playoff teams were decided in the first session this afternoon, which I believe I called last night. You were
frustrated by it last night. That seemed to bother you.
Well, yeah. Lucky for me tonight, I thought, I can have a nap at least, and if I miss the first few ends, no big deal. I was able.
I would just say this because I didn't say it last night. And I was reminded of it at the Roar of the Rings a few years ago in Ottawa. That the Friday night, the only thing that was on the line, so the last round robin draw, the only thing that was on the line was Holman and Jones were playing each other. The winner would get last rock in the 2-3 game, so in the semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only thing that was on the line there. So this does happen occasionally. Yes, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. I mean, Chelsea Carey sort of really dropped the ball today, and yesterday for that matter, in terms of making today a little more interesting. I think she is the team that certainly I had my eye on, and based on her previous performance, her pedigree, I think that was a little surprising. So you're looking at where the draw or where sort of the separation happened there. I would focus mostly on the disappointing last couple of days of Chelsea Carey.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, Sean. Pretty uninspiring game this morning, losing 9-2 to British Columbia and Corinne Brown. It seemed like at the end they were just going for it. They had to make up a lot of ground and miss the shots when they counted.
Yeah, and but credit to Corinne Brown and her team for being able to come out, play well after that 3-game day yesterday. Of course, on the other side of that was not Carrie Anderson, was Robin Silvernagel in her game. Came out we said it last night, they looked tired, they looked flat. It seemed that way this afternoon as well. And that was a team that needed to win in order to keep things competitive in the evening in terms of playoff spots. And they just didn't have it this afternoon.
No. I think that 3-game day really took a toll, as you mentioned. They do bounce back tonight and beat British Columbia in the 10th end to cap off their week at 6-5. And I know that Silvernagel was pretty happy to get that final win. She seemed chipper in the post-game scrum. But yep. Sean, all that didn't really matter. We had the feature game, Manitoba against Rachel Homan. Manitoba, again, I think it's the third time in a row with Hammer, they score a 3 in the first end. And I watched basically this whole game. I got there at the end of the first end, but I did see this 3. Rachel Homan's team played so well tonight. Emma Miskew's numbers were a bit down. She had one rock that was called a hogline violation. They later, the end after, checked the rock, and it was a faulty handle. So I don't even know if it was a hogline violation. But they were missing, like, the shots that they would miss would be an inch heavy and would bounce a little bit off. And Anderson took advantage of every little mistake they made. Gets a 3 in the first, gets a 3 in the third after giving back the deuce. It sort of came out of nowhere. And
right.
Rachel just missed getting one of the stones out on her last, and it left a chance for three. It was a tough shot for three, but she made it. And pretty much from there on, I got the feeling that Homan was a little bit like, oh, come on, really? So, they still play well. I'm looking at the box score. I believe Rachel shot over 90%. Yeah, 93%. Weigel 98, Courtney 94, and Emma at 85. Part of that is that 0-point shot. And they lost convincingly 9-6. Crazy.
Yeah, that's scary when that happens and they're playing that well. And certainly credit to Carrie Anderson and her team bouncing back after this afternoon, where talking about scoreboard management, they did not have that this afternoon against Jennifer Jones. I think Jennifer Jones heard you say, Scott, that she's owned by Carrie Anderson lately.
Mm-hmm.
I can't and prove not prove the opposite, at least maybe started perhaps to change that trend. We're really good for Carrie Anderson and that team to come back. We saw that after the New Brunswick game too, where they give up the 7 and lose that game, but it didn't stop their momentum. It didn't seem to take anything out of their confidence. They continue to play well, and that's a really good sign for them tonight to come out against the team that had really been the class of the field with a really solid performance tonight, get that win, put themselves into the 1-2 game. So I think that's a really good sign for them. And I know Rachel Homan was in the 3-4 game last year. We'll talk about that, but this might be the best she's ever played to not be in the 1-2 game.
Yeah, 100%.
She's so good all week.
So good. And like you say, they've been the class of the field. She's the top shooting skip. Emma's the top shooting third all week. I really don't understand this. Team Wildcard, like you say, they come out and get a 4, give back a 2, get a 4. You're like, what? How does this happen? Maybe she was playing with a bit of a Manitoba final grudge match kind of thing. But it's a story. The story of that team is how Jennifer Jones goes the team. Like she shot 84 in that game this morning or this afternoon, and 65 tonight, and that's the difference, right? I think that's all that's going to matter tomorrow night in the 1-2 game is how does Jennifer Jones play.
Yeah, and I think too, it's a case with that team where, with any other team in the field, I think, with maybe the exception of Kristen McCarville, I think winning the 1-2 game is really important for Jennifer Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You just get the sense out of her that, one game a day is where she can be at her max or really be at her best. And going into Sunday, if she has to play in that semifinal, and then if she wins into that final, I don't like her chances as much as Carrie Anderson is of doing that, or Rachel Homan of doing that, or even Kristen McCarville of doing that. I would put her forward of these teams overall and sort of who I would be handicapping to win. But certainly Homan, Anderson playing the 2 on Sunday, I would have a little more confidence in those 2 teams in the final than I would in Jennifer Jones.
I'm right there with you, Sean. The problem is that if Jennifer Jones can harness it in the semifinal, then maybe she doesn't have it for the night game and we get kind of a boring final, which I'm not hoping for.
No, we definitely want a good one. We've had good ones the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly another one.
Yeah, so all 3 of these teams, Ontario, Manitoba, and Wildcard, Sean, they finished 9-2. And I was looking at, who beat who? Well, they all beat each other. And then I went to the Curling Canada website and I said, hey, I wonder what the last stone draw stuff is. Not there, Sean. The last stone draw is not on Curling Canada's scoreboard website.
Oh, well, that is a deficiency of Curling Canada.
Pretty strange, right? So I tweeted at them and they got back to me. So I asked for the numbers, the average distances, just to see how close all these things were. But they didn't have that, but they did give me the order. So of the 8 teams in the championship pool,
Yeah.
Saskatchewan was number 1, maybe a bit surprisingly, and then Manitoba, and then Wildcard, and then Canada, PEI, and then Ontario. Ontario 3rd from the last. I guess 5th is pretty good. In the last stone draw. So because of those numbers, how this shakes out, that's why Ontario drops down to number 3 behind Manitoba and Wildcard because of the last stone draw results.
Yeah, well, I that's going to happen. I think that's better than. I mean, you're not going to play a tiebreak to see who gets in the 1-2 game.
No.
I do like that, or I mean, it's better to. It's certainly better than like having draw shot challenge determine who makes the playoffs and who doesn't if there's a tie. Right? I definitely want a tiebreaker there.
Mm-hmm.
In this type of situation, that's really the only thing you have. I mean, I don't think doing points for or against is fair in any way because, different teams, different days. Like, I don't like that. And certainly with the pool play, you've played different teams in that first round.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm not crazy about. And just each game plays out so differently. I wouldn't be a fan of that. So I don't see another way to break that tie.
No, likely not. I would like to see the numbers published somewhere. I was told that they are available on request on the media bench, and I remember from past years you having access to those on the media bench as well. So anybody that's out there listening,
I mean, the sheet that they provide on the media bench is quite good, but that should be included in the reports online that are available for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see if we can push for that. But if anybody listening was on the media bench looking at Twine Time, let us know if you have the distances there.
Yeah, the specific numbers, that'd be good to have, because of course it's not just the skips who are throwing those shots. So it would be interesting, not to like throw anybody under the bus or at all, but to see like the specific distances for the various players, right? They change up the turn to, sometimes it's the clockwise rotation, other times it's the counterclockwise. They can't say in turn or out turn with all the lefties, but they denote which rotation has to be on the stone, and each player has to throw a certain number over the course of the week. With 11, I believe each player has to throw at least 2. So it would be interesting to see what those numbers were.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so stepping away from those top 3 teams, you mentioned Northern Ontario, the 4th team in there, had a pretty good day today. I'd say pretty convincingly beat Prince Edward Island this morning. They were up 6-3 in the last end, gave up a deuce. They were just trying to not give up 3, and I don't think they played it very well. But luckily for them, 3 is hard to get. So, they were able to sort of get away with that and then really put a beat down on Jennifer Jones and Team Wildcard there tonight. They gave up a 3 in the 6th end, and that made the score 7-5 for Northern Ontario. So they were up 7-2, and then Wildcard gives them the 3 right back. Jennifer Jones was light, I believe, on a hit, or light on a draw, and gave them the chance for 3. And then it was pretty much playing out the string from there. Do you like Northern Ontario's chances going into this 3-4 game against Rachel Homan, given that they had a pretty good day today?
Yeah, it's weird. I'd like it way more against either of the teams in the 1-2 game, to be honest.
I agree.
For Kristen Carvel, I mean, Rachel Homan's just been so good all week, but they have more than a puncher's chance in this game, I think, Scott. They've been really good all week. Kristen McCarville is, I don't know if this is the greatest word to describe her, but she's steely out there. She's very calm. She's under control. She really has a lot of confidence. I think the team has a lot of confidence in her too, which really helps. And that comes across when you watch them, just how much when she's saying something or making the call, that there's not a lot of back and forth. They just really default and go with what she's saying. So really good team dynamic in that respect. So I think this will be a really close game. They've played close games all week, which is a good sign. that they can keep it close with Rachel Homan. One of the games that wasn't so close was against Rachel Homan, though. So I would certainly put Rachel Homan as the favorite in this matchup, but Kristen McCarville, I'm not going to fall on the floor in shock if Kristen McCarville wins.
No, for sure. I think the number that really stands out to me from the stats, Sean, Cheryl Bernard has been talking about this, is the hammer efficiency stat. So this is the percentage of time that you have the hammer and you get multiple points. Rachel Homan is at 63% for the event, which is crazy high.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good. Next closest team is Wildcard at 44. Manitoba's next at 42.
Yeah.
And Northern Ontario, Sean, is third from the bottom of the entire field, ahead only of Yukon and Newfoundland Labrador at 20%. The reason they're doing so well is because they've stolen quite a bit. Looking at them stealing games.
Yeah.
So they've stolen in 13 ends. So for a clip of 29% of the time they'll steal, which is really, really high.
That's really high. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've been holding their opponents to singles and stealing, and that's sort of the way that they've been winning their games, which unfortunately isn't very sustainable when you run up against Team Homan, who's converting at a 60+% clip.
Well, not just that, for Rachel Homan converting with the hammer, but also being very defensive too. And I mean, one of the reasons they score as many deuces as they do is that you throw up a center guard, and Lisa Weigel is so good at turning that into two corner guards. So for Kristen McCarville, who has relied on those stolen points all week, it's so hard to steal against Rachel Homan because Lisa Weigel is so good at that. I mean, a lot of leads are good at it now, but Lisa Weigel is the originator of the shot and the best in the world at it. So for Kristen McCarville, that is going to be tough, and she is going to have to be a little more efficient with that hammer to keep up with Rachel Homan. Whereas, as you said, with the percentages of the other teams, not nearly as high. That's why I would have liked their chances against them. It's a better matchup that they play. So it's going to take a special effort for Kristen McCarville and that team to get those deuces when they have their opportunities, because they're not going to be in a position to steal as much as they have been all week.
No, Sean, to your point, stolen ends against Team Homan this week, 3 total ends have been stolen. That's an 8% clip. So yeah, they're doing what they have to do. They're converting with the hammer and they're not allowing steals. They're firing on all cylinders, and I expect them to still win this entire event.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen nothing so far this week that would make me change my original pick. We both picked Team Ontario to win the event at the start of the week. There's nothing I've seen that would change that. But if we shift over to the 1-2 game real quick, Carrie Anderson has had the advantage against Jennifer Jones over the past 2 years or so, but not today. As we talked about, big win for Jennifer Jones. This will be an interesting game. See how Carrie Anderson and her team respond after that. Similarly, if Jennifer Jones can get things under control, I think, for her. I think for Jennifer Jones, getting the lead early in this game is going to be important, and ensuring that she has that draw weight, and especially with that outturn, which has really given her fits all week. And if she has that, really good position. And again, I know it's not an elimination game for either team, but I do get the sense, as I said earlier, that Jennifer Jones needs to win this if she wants to have a chance to win the event.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Jennifer Jones has been, like I said at the beginning, it's how she plays, right?
Yeah.
If we see her coming out and making little mistakes in the first couple ends, and they get behind, then I think it's over. And I think Rachel Homan, should she beat Krista McCarville, which I'm expecting, I think she'll have no problem dusting Jennifer Jones in Team Wildcard.
Okay. All right. Very firm on that one there, Scotty.
Yeah, I'm assertive. I know how to make my picks.
Yeah,
So
definitely looking forward to the playoffs in that regard. The 4 teams that we lose today, I think pretty good weeks for all of them. I don't think any of those 4 teams, with the exception of Chelsea Carey, are going to be particularly disappointed with how they played. Certainly Suzanne Bird had a great run. Suzanne Bird will probably look at the game against Jennifer Jones, where she put it through on a draw that early in the week. She had a chance to win that game. The game against Saskatchewan yesterday, where she had a double that she stuffed, and a couple shots here and there for Suzanne Bird, but it's so hard for those teams that don't play on tour to come and be competitive. So all credit to them. Great week. Team Saskatchewan, a lot of pressure as the home team in Saskatchewan. I think overall pretty good effort for that team in this field. They're not a favorite. So.
No. Yeah, and Sean, I saw Robin Silvernagle this afternoon was playing one of those run backs that we talked about at the beginning of the week, where I said she's playing too many of these because she's putting her team really behind the 8 ball. And there was a stat that said on run backs she was 51% on the week. And I think that's that.
Yeah, she needs to make those at a higher rate for them to be successful for sure.
Mm-hmm.
BC, first go around for Corinne Brown to make that championship pool through the tie break, and then to come out today and play well. I think all credit to them.
Yeah.
I think we'll see them back again. And, if we see similar to the men in Saskatchewan with Dunstone Myers, and I would sign up for that to be a final for the next 10 years. I'll sign up to watch Corinne Brown play Sarah War in the final of the BC Scotties for the next 10 years. I'm good with that. Played a great game, 2 good teams. So certainly would expect them back. Chelsea Carey, I talked you into her playing well when she was playing well. And then after that sort of jinxed her. And
yeah.
That was the end of Team Canada.
That was it. And it was that eye test, that they weren't passing at the beginning of the week that proved me right in the end, even though I flip-flopped.
Indeed. So overall, I think we have the 4 playoff teams. I don't have our picks in front of us, Scott, but 4 playoff teams that at the start of the week, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised.
No, I think I might have picked Laura Walker instead of Jennifer Jones, but I definitely had Homan, Einarson, and McCarville in the playoffs.
Yes, and I did pick the wild card team, whoever it would have been.
So that's right.
I did get that benefit of 2 teams, but yeah. So certainly looking forward to the playoffs. All the action tomorrow. Which game is first, Scott?
The 3-4 game is first. The Northern Ontario matchup, followed then by the 1-2 at 7 p.m. Eastern time or 7:30. I don't know.
Whatever time. I would assume it's 7:30. That's when they've been doing it. Doing it all week.
I think it's 7 because it's curling day in Canada, and they'll have the first game at 2 Eastern, followed by a 2-hour special about how much we love curling, and then
by Moodrick.
That's right, the Mooj will be there.
Yeah, I love the Mooj. Give him something to do because he didn't do anything today.
Yeah, I'm sure he's deserves a day off every now and then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So enjoy it, Scotty. Enjoy curling day in Canada out there, everybody. Certainly looking forward to the playoffs here for the 2020 Scotties. You're going to be flying solo tomorrow night, though, Scott.
That's what I hear. Yeah. So I might post a little bit later. I got stuff I got to do.
Okay,
I've been watching curling every night for this week, but the 1-2 game. I don't think it requires as immediate a reaction as the 3-4. So when I do update the podcast feed, it might be more overnight than putting BC to bed time.
All right, that's fair, and I will email in my thoughts if I have any pressing concerns.
Great. Love to get the reader mail.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be it. Scott's on his own tomorrow night. I will be back Sunday night, hopefully. And I'm being invaded here, so we gotta end the show.
Gotta go.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for following along all week. It's been a lot of fun for us, if perhaps a little tiring, but certainly a lot of fun, and we've had good games to talk about. So follow along for the rest of the week. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever it is you get your shows, because the likes, follows, all that kind of stuff. Follow along. I'm sure Scott will be tweeting up a storm tomorrow during those playoff games at Game of Stones Pod and Instagram as well. Scott's on those things at Scott Lakes TV. I'm at Dr. Shawnee Fever. And as always, you can email the show at gameofstonespodcast@gmail.com. So Scott, enjoy tomorrow.
Thanks, bud. Don't get into too much trouble.
I'll try my best, but no guarantees.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll talk to everybody again on Sunday night. Scott will talk to you tomorrow night. But until then, keep your brooms on the ice and don't dump that insert.
Make the final.